I'm not sure if it's a genius idea or a stupid idea, but I'm planning to use this for the framing. Spoiler, that was the most stupid idea I could have. When I think about this right now, it's hard to imagine how I would really actually attach this, and that makes no point and no sense. So yeah, that was stupid. But I got different idea, and I did this. I'm gonna show you how I did it. No framing, nothing, just the pure panel right to the wall of the car. But first I need to do the trims, so I can cover my floor, and no worries, they're gonna be black. So the panels are ready. No, they are not. Anyway, to make this I had to use couple of pieces of aluminum, as there wasn't a single one that will be big enough. After a bunch of measuring and other mathematic tools plus different pens, I waste a bunch of my time to clamp everything in place. I cut all the pieces using the jigsaw and the blade for the metal, which in that case wasn't so sharp, so it took me some time to do it. Also, I spent quite a bit on cutting these small pieces that's gonna be a connectors, and then I took some time again to mark all of that connectors where I'm gonna be drilling and putting the pins later. Finally, I moved to putting all these puzzles together, which was the combination of drilling, pin, putting, drilling back again to make sure everything fits nice and snug, which, yeah, it fit nice and snug. Let's say like that, almost, like 98%. I'm happy anyway. After trimming the edges of the trims and cutting in few places so I can bend it so they fit nicely with the curves of the van, the last step was to paint the trims, and for that I used the can of the Raptor paint to make it black and look nice. Before spray painting with the Raptor, I spray paint with the acid primer, epoxy acid primer, which is necessary for painting the metal. Otherwise the main paint will not attach properly and it will peel off over the time. And yeah, so this is the final product. Let's move to the panels finally, but there is one thing we need to add before that. In order to make it, we need to have the same curve here and here, and as this curve here is deeper, I need to put, I don't know if you see, in between these two bumps I need to put 1 centimeter thick plywood in between, so now when you're gonna put the panel, it's gonna match the curve on the back. And I use self-tapping screws to attach it to the pillar. Okay, so now when the walls are even, we can go and start to work on the panel itself. To make it, I'm gonna use this huge piece of 4mm birch plywood that I have some troubles to move around as my workshop is quite narrow. I start from measuring the overall width of the panel and then I cut it to the size with my cheap track saw. Then I repeat exactly the same process, cutting the panel height wise. By the way, all measurements are based over the original panels that came with the van when I bought it. Like here, I'm marking this cutout to make sure that the panel fits exactly to the wall of the transit. After that, I went and cut out this piece using my jigsaw. Now I can move to mark all the lines all around the panel. That will be basically the cutout for this wideners that we're gonna do later. And I'm going to mark 2 squares with 6mm difference, as this is the thickness of the bamboo panels that gonna create the inside walls of it. And I have to be very careful how I'm gonna be cutting this, and let me explain why. So we have our outside and inside line. Then the thickness of the blade is 2.2mm thick. I need to make sure that the cut goes here outside, not the inside of this line, otherwise my bamboo panels will not fit how they need by the thickness of it. So you know, with each side and each cut I make 100% sure that the measurements are good, and I'm cutting this on the right side, so everything's gonna be perfectly measured. And obviously I did it totally wrong. Anyway, I went and cut the ends with my cheap Japanese saw, so I can move and make a dry fitting with the panel to the wall. And I'm using really small screws just to attach it temporarily to it, as I'm gonna be taking this out multiple times, and basically later in the future we're gonna do a proper mounting for it. And it's tough to work alone when you need to line up everything in the air and then attach it. Like sometimes I wish to have more arms. So the panel is mounted. We have the hole to make the space for the legs when we sleep. So now I have this slight curve that I need to cut on these side panels so I can fit it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna fit a piece of cardboard like that, and by using the pen I'm gonna trace it to make sure that I have a nice curve all over to make a template. So while this is here, I'm gonna also check how deep I can make this, I don't know how to call it in English. Let's say the poor version of the flare space. And so I need to check how deep I can do it so it's not gonna like interfere, especially that this is quite big opening. So if there is gonna be like too much wood here, like up here or down here, it can interfere with the frame of the van, which is like with the cant. So I need to make sure that this is spot on. Anyway, I'm gonna use my template from the cardboard to transfer it to the piece of plywood in this curve, so I can go and cut this out with my jigsaw. And here is a pro tip: if you're gonna place the tape good, if it has nice contrast over the line you're gonna be cutting, when you're using the jigsaw, because kind of like different material and different color, it's way easier to make a accurate cut than when you're just using the pencil line. And here is a final piece. I just need to repeat it to make the second one. Now what we have two pieces, two curved pieces, two straight pieces that go horizontal, and our bamboo panels. Okay, so we have our panel here. We have all the parts. So this is the vertical parts that has a small curve cut in, and then I already cut the horizontal ones, so we can glue it finally them to the back of the panel, and that's gonna create the shape and also gonna create a structural integrity to this plywood, which is basically 4 millimeters. I believe it's 1/8 of an inch or a bit more, not sure exactly. But before that, I need to address and trim a bit these pieces. So these are the pieces from the old wall panel of my van, done from the bamboo, and they are already tapered. So this is the back wall close to the trunk, and this is more to the middle of the van. It's wider because the way the transit is built. Because this panel is curved and it goes directly to the van, I need to shorten, make a bit less wide these pieces, as well as I need to cut the wider piece of the vertical of the other side, because I don't have. So I went and cut and trim all the pieces so they're gonna fit. As I said, I need to make them a bit more narrow, because now the panels are directly to the frame of the van, so there is not as much space as it was before in that terms. And once this is done, I need to go and add the curve to my vertical bamboo pieces so they can fit and match to the curve of the panel that we're gonna be doing. And I'm doing this by clamping this curved piece of plywood that we cut it to the bamboo panel, and then I'm gonna use the router to route it, basically. Yeah, simple. And by that I just have a perfect curve that's gonna match exactly to our curved panel that we're gonna be start doing finally soon. There's like a huge pieces of puzzle that we need to think in different ways to somehow fit them all together. Anyway, I went and repeated this exact same process over the second piece. So with all the pieces cut it to the size, sand it, connect it, trim it, everything. That was around 3 hours of work, although it doesn't look. And I will start putting all that mess together by using first the vertical curved pieces of plywood that we cut it, and I'm gonna use wood glue and nail gun to connect it, and then I'm gonna repeat exactly the same thing with my horizontal straight pieces, and that's gonna give us the whole frame over the... I did a mistake. I didn't account on the length of the vertical pieces that this is offset about 6 millimeters on each side. So now I have this lovely gap, and unfortunately you can see that this is a flex point of the panel. So I went and cut just 2 shims. And by using the wood glue and nail gun that took me way too long to figure out how to use it back again, I put these shims on the place, and once they are done I just cut the excess and everything is nice and in place. It's here. So I'm just gonna put them onto the place. I did a snug fit, and I'm gonna screw it to this frame that we did temporarily using the screws. They're gonna be switched for the for the more pretty one later. Okay, so now they're attached, but they are still empty and loose here, and I want to make like a box out of it, so I came out with this, and this will be different that I did the other one, and I hope this one is gonna be better. And the thing is, like, I cannot attach this to this wall, as I need to have the possibility to separate them, because I'm gonna upholster this panel, and this one is gonna be hard, and this one is not gonna be upholstered, so it's gonna be hard to do it if that would be like a one piece. So that's why I'm not gluing this. And I glue them by using the combination of the wood glue and the CA glue, so it's gonna attach fast, and it worked quite well. So once they got attached and got dry, I repeat the process all over the 4 corners, and then I came back with the saw to cut this excess. It's easier to do it afterwards than try to match perfect dimensions. By the way, let me know if you enjoy watching this video, and if you are till far here, please give me a subscribe and maybe some like, and yeah, and let me know if you enjoy or no, or what you prefer to be. I'm still learning how to do all that stuff with recording, editing, and yeah, let me know your thoughts, what you think about that, if you like it or no. And okay, so all the wall is done, and this is the old back panel from my previous van. I mean the same van, but from my previous build, and I'm gonna reuse it, as it has foam, has some isolation. It's kind of like a plastic, but it's okay. And to reuse it, I did this wall slightly smaller, exactly around 5 millimeters all around, smaller, for few reasons. First, so I can use this panel, I don't have to use like separate big piece of plywood as I did in the previous on the first one, and the second, on the first one, because the wall is closer to the original framing of the van, I had some issues with fitting this, so I had to trim it a bit. So, and thanks to that it's like slightly narrower, I can fit this piece. Also I can fit this easy, and yet it's gonna be a plenty of space, because the first wall, there's like maximum you can have when it goes to the big opening you can do, and as close to the wall as possible. It still has some isolation, but not too much, and thanks to this I can sleep comfortable across the van, and actually I have quite a lot of space there. So after my long speech, I went and attached the back panel to the frame, and then I moved with the whole panel and attached it to the van. And again, I had some issues. It was tough to line it. I was trying to line it up with the previous screw holes, which I did it, but it's a quite tough thing to do alone. So the wall panels are ready, and it was quite a journey. So as I said, I took this idea from Jose's maker, I believe this was his name. Anyway, like, he did a really great job with showing and giving the idea, but he was yet using his old framing of the van to do it. And in my case, I used no framing at all, so it's attached directly to the body of the van. Thing is that in transit, that the curve here of the body of the pillars is different than the curve on the rear. So what I did the same idea that I took from the AVC rig in their first couple of builds, where they attach this plate, the scrap piece of wood, in between this kind of like knobs, and this is like 1 centimeter plate. And what that does is basically matches the curve on the back with the curve on the front in both. And that's it, end of the video. That was a big challenge to do, and the main reason is because I wanted to have the widenings, the openings for the bed as big as possible, and I did them so big that I had some issues with fitting them by the end, as the pillars of the transit are not like 90 degrees, they are like more like that. And what that makes is even if it's like on the front part is wide enough and it's all good, then in the back part, if it's too long, it's not fitting. So that took me a long time, and that was the main issue with the first one. And the other one I did slightly smaller, but I didn't want it to make too much smaller, so it was a bit easier, but still needed some kind of fitting, and that was taking a long time. The front wall panel where the kitchen is gonna be, it was quite easy as the opening is smaller. And yeah, I think it's the thing I'm happy about is there is no framing, and I don't need that framing because I'm not gonna have the upper cabinets. And thanks to that, first I save a lot of space width-wise, that I'm gonna take it later, but not for now. And then it's light, so I'm taking the weight of the framing wood for it. It's super light panels that go directly to the van pillars, van framing. And yeah, stay for more if you like it.